The River's Edge Trail is a crown jewel in our community, spanning 53 miles both in and out of town. We're talking with the founders of the River's Edge Trail system about its serendipitous start on this episode of We're No Damn Experts. And just a side note here, we had a few technical audio issues when we were recording this episode, so it's not going to sound quite as crisp and clear as normal, but we still hope you enjoy it and learn all about the River's Edge Trail system.
Best damn podcast, the best damn town. You want to get up, get ready to get down. With its big wide sky and the wild river tame, if you want to go, we can take you there to Great Falls, Montana.
Welcome to the greatest damn town in Montana, Great Falls. I'm Rebecca Ingham.
I'm Shannon Newth, and we're No Damn Experts.
I'm pretty excited. We're discussing a topic we've discussed a number of times on this episode. On this
On
show,
this episode.
clearly. But today we brought in actual experts, and I'd say beyond experts, people who were there at the beginning, maybe the creators, part of the creation team, part of the founding team, and then just all around good Great Falls citizens.
Yes.
One is a repeat guest, and those folks that are avid listeners will know her as the Idea Fairy. We've often referred to her as. And then
I call her the fixer.
Yeah.
that's a good term.
It's a good one, too.
Her husband, Jerry and Chuck Jennings. Welcome to the podcast episode.
Thank you.
And I was told Jerry's going to start.
No one will be surprised.
He did get his word in first, though. Yeah. Well, we're really glad to have you. We are talking about the River's Edge Trail, which is such a jewel in our community. It's something we talk about often with just amongst ourselves and also with our guests. So we're really excited to learn more about all of the history and purpose.
So I'd like to kind of start at the beginning, because the passion you two have for the River's Edge Trail is a different level of passion than Shannon and I have.
Right.
You've not put in the sweat, the tears,
I've sweated along the trail.
That is true.
Yeah.
I
But
have
not
to.
like this. Not like this.
Not the type of equity sweat that's required to make this a jewel. So who wants to tackle the whole history of the River's Edge Trail?
All right, Jerry, you're up.
We'll both do the whole history. but
Perfect.
I'll
You'll
start.
get us started.
Okay, well, this was kind of fun. In the late 1980s, Chuck and I were riding our bikes along Lower River Road. Now, most of you know that can be kind of busy and a little bit curvy.
Yes.
And a curve which had a double line, and most motorists know what a double line means.
Yeah,
So just make sure, 1980s, we didn't have the River's Edge Trail then.
That's right.
We were just on the road.
So this is the road
This is-
along the river in
this
town for
is-
people.
right,
Yeah.
This is what caused the idea.
Okay.
So Chuck was ahead of me on the road, and a trailer passed Chuck.
That sounds
Then a
scary.
motorcycle. Now, remember the double line?
Yeah.
Yep.
Then a motorcycle going at a very high speed passed the trailer. And then a dog ran out.
Oh, no.
I thought it was the end of Chuck.
And the dog.
Fortunately not.
Oof.
The motorcycle rider yelled at me for having a dog on the road. Of course, it wasn't mine.
What?
I was just going to ask.
Right.
is it
Like,
your
what?
dog?
Yeah.
And I returned
Why is
the
the-
favor to him.
Yeah. Good for you.
It would have been a disaster. Right there on Lower River Road, I said to Chuck, we are going to crusade for a safe bike path
Yeah.
in Great Falls.
And
Nice.
folks, if you don't know Jerry Jennings, that is exactly what she does in our community. So well done. What happened next?
Perfect timing. Perfect timing. Around this time, Vision 2000 was initiated, and projects were brainstormed and voted on for the future of Great Falls. Were you here then, either one of you, for Vision 2000?
In 2000?
No, this was 1990.
No.
It would have been in
89,
1990 for the Vision of 2000.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would love to see this document, just the nerd in me, because I don't see how much we accomplished. I wasn't here.
I did not live in Montana yet. Yeah.
I wasn't out of high school
we'll
yet.
tell you what was accomplished.
I was 4 years old.
Oh, please,
Yeah.
let's not go there.
folks.
So anyway, projects were brainstormed and voted on for the future of Great Falls. A recreational trail was proposed, accepted, and the rest is history. The story of the trail is one of vision, planning, dedication, and hard work. And that began that day, and it is still going on.
Yeah.
So, Jerry, let's clarify kind of this visioning process and then the adoption of this idea. Because we have a beautiful piece of art along the trail dedicated to a dude who's a runner. Is that, and we have the pelican.
Coach Brady?
Yeah, Coach Brady, that's not the one I'm thinking
Oh,
of.
okay.
It's the pelican. That was done in honor of
Doug Wicks.
Who, am I correct in saying, is like the godfather of this? Even though there was maybe a committee, or like who stood up in front of City Commission and pounded on the table and said, we need this?
Well, interestingly enough, Chuck, why don't you tell that about when Doug showed up? Because it wasn't right away.
Okay.
I actually, at the Vision 2000 meeting, did get up, and I can show you a picture of me behind the podium.
Oh, yes, please.
Making a proposal for this trail, and that was the start of it. There were a number of things that were finally voted on to do for Great Falls, but as far as we know, the only one that survived was this River's Edge Trail idea.
Okay.
And others went for a while, but then kind of died down.
Great Falls Election Protection Committee went for 10 years, and we did a lot of things in Great Falls.
Yeah.
And that was part of this kind of brainstorming for the community?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this was like all encompassing, all kinds of
All
ideas.
kinds of
Okay.
things.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Right.
Some say there are just no bad ideas,
Right.
Jerry.
Yeah. Mhm. She's saying there are. Yeah.
So let's see, where
Yeah.
were we now?
Yeah.
Yes,
So
yeah.
when did
So-
Doug Wick show up in
Okay.
the picture?
I'll give you the time frame here. We started in early 1990. I think we may have had some meetings at the hospital in May, but the first recorded meetings where we had a secretary came in early June of 1990. And there were probably 10 to 12 members, including hospital employees. But there were two bike shop owners, Bryn Grossfield and a guy named Jim Yeagley. They each owned a bicycle shop in town. So they were interested. There was a lawyer. There were several doctors, including myself, and just citizens interested. And so we had several meetings extending into June. And then one day we had a meeting outside on Broadwater Bay. And it was on the 16th of July of 1990. And Bryn Grossfield, who was one of the bike shop owners, brought a fellow named Doug Wicks.
Oh.
And Doug came on his bicycle that day.
The last
Appropriate.
time we ever saw Doug on a bicycle.
Oh.
Yeah.
He was too busy.
And
okay.
so that was the 16th of July, 1990. So the rest is history. And we had frequent meetings, probably every week or 2 weeks. And Doug was there for every one of them. And obviously, this caught his fancy. Doug he was not employed at the time, but he made
Was he an older dude at the time?
No, I would say he was in
Don't
his...
say that. He was younger than me.
Yeah.
50s. Yeah, he was not an old dude. Anyway, he was not actively employed at the time, but he had made considerable money, I don't know how much, on an invention of, you've seen these wind deflectors for big tractor trailers that go over the cab. And apparently he devised those, and I think made a fair amount of money. His wife, Karen, was a nurse at the hospital, so they did have an income, but they were certainly not rich people.
Well, that's nice, though, that he had the ability to have the free time to devote that.
Yeah, and Karen was at his side throughout everything.
Wow.
Nice.
So before we go any further, I'm going to go back again on the logistics of this 2020 vision. Did the city commit to funds at this time, or they just said, like, oh, this was a good idea, and there was enough people in the room, they're like, hey, let's gather later with Dr. Jennings at the hospital and we'll discuss it between surgeries or something. Was that the deal?
Well, not quite that.
Somewhere in between. Yeah.
I wrote quite a few letters to different people during those early days, telling about our ideas. But the city had actually considered some kind of trail along the river for,
Okay.
for parts of it. It wasn't a totally new idea, but they didn't have a group of citizens behind it like this
Okay.
that we eventually had. And so
So you start all these meetings, you find Doug Wicks. Because now my perception of kind of the Godfather method of seeing Doug Wicks might be a little bit shifting, because he didn't come in until like 2 months into this project. So what role did Doug play kind of from that point forward?
well, it's interesting. I continued as president of this organization for a number of years, and I would set the set the time of the meeting and the agendas. But more and more, it essentially became Doug's show every meeting in terms of saying what was being done, because he was out there on the trail every day. I had a surgical practice that kept me pretty busy.
Yeah, you had saving lives.
Yeah. No,
And
Doug was
hands.
doing
no big deal.
things.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many lives I saved.
Hands are important.
Chuck,
Yeah.
a lot.
So anyway, and his wife Karen was the secretary.
So
Okay.
so by this time the foundation is formed.
It wasn't the foundation. It wasn't called that at the time.
Okay.
It was called the River's Edge Trail Committee.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were just a group of citizens that were behind this.
Perfect.
Actually, it wasn't even called the River's Edge Trail Committee. It was the Recreational Trails.
That's right. You're right.
But the Great Falls Tribune
Oh, yeah.
had a contest for the name.
Oh. Wait, did you know they were doing that? Or they okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Okay, good. I thought they just decided like,
Do you think the idea fairy didn't plant that at the Tribune?
I figured, but I didn't know if maybe they jumped the gun and were like, hey, let's name what you're doing. Yeah.
Well, to get serious for a moment,
Yeah.
think about it. This is 1990
Mm-hmm.
through 2000, where all this is happening. The Tribune is at our side all the time. Peter Johnson, Rich Ecke, Paula Wilmot, supplements to the Tribune in color. We don't have that today. If this were happening today, we would not have the kind of promotion and assistance and y'all come that we had when the Great Falls Tribune was a fine, the best in the state newspaper. And I just want to put a shout out to the Tribune, because I'll tell you what, a lot of things in those days couldn't have happened without the Tribune.
Yeah, that's great. They were such a good partner for getting the word out.
And a huge shout out. Peter Johnson and Richard Ecke are still doing amazing work in our community. Even after their retirement.
Paula is still here.
I never had the opportunity to meet her.
She's wonderful.
Yeah. And so, great job on getting serious there.
Yeah.
I tried.
Yeah, you did. Mission accomplished. Yeah.
I wanted to mention a few other things about Doug that I think stood out. Doug was religious about thanking people, anybody who contributed money or any other type of in-kind contribution. Doug was very careful to thank them in writing. And another thing that came along was the word serendipity. And I think I came up with that one as things happened. But of course, that's a euphemism for hard work and persistence. But anyway, we bandied that word about for quite a few years.
Until he died.
True, yeah. Doug was very much a hands-on volunteer, and in later years, he utilized pre-release people to help on the trail.
Smart.
And I think I know he was a positive influence on these people, and some even later became volunteers after they were no longer in the pre-release system.
You
That's
were
great.
forced to work here. They wanted to work on the trail.
That's
exactly.
great.
So that's kind of a nice side story.
Yeah. So in the beginning, did you ever envision the 53 or however many miles we could debate on what it is today? Or was it more of just a small section and then it just kept growing?
Like we don't want to run into cars and bikes.
Let's talk a little bit about how it did start.
Yeah.
Because it is magical how it started. Besides,
You mean
besides
serendipitous?
it was
Yeah,
serendipitous
yes.
and magical.
There
Yes.
it is.
I'll add that
You're
to the
listening.
definition.
Yeah.
I pay attention.
So
I'm more than just a pretty face.
Yeah.
And a chocolate voice.
And the chocolate voice, yes.
In 1990, Great Falls was in the doldrums. The smelter had closed.
Mm.
There was a lot of woe is me in the community. At 6th Street, there was a gap. The Burlington Northern had abandoned the track, but there was this big gap.
Okay.
And who could afford to fill that gap?
Yeah.
So the bridge was found by one of our committee members in the Northeast Industrial Park.
Mm.
It was the steel understructure for the bridge.
Right.
It was there for the railroad.
Right.
Mm.
And what we needed was to have that big bridge put back in place in order to really get it started.
So, I'm not good with places, Jerry.
Okay. Okay.
Is 6th Street that portion like at the end of the Elks Riverside Park and
Right.
that
Right.
top?
Okay.
Yes, that gets into River Road. Or
Okay.
Bay
Okay.
Drive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so that's the bridge. And we had volunteers from Sletton and Talcott Construction Company and that put it in place. And then the Home Builders Association replaced the decking and the balusters.
Mm.
So we have a good looking bridge and it happened right away.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
How'd you make that happen right away?
So
Yeah.
People were excited.
Yeah.
Interestingly, the balusters were a copy of the balusters that were on the original
Oh, really?
10th Street Bridge, the historic bridge that we now
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And of course, those balusters are a copy of the original
Yeah.
as well.
That's neat. A nod to the past there.
So
Yeah.
at this point, nobody's raised money. They've just said, we'll do this stuff.
Pretty much at this
Okay.
point, it was
Okay.
volunteer effort. Yes.
Asking the right people, getting the right
And people getting
answers.
excited.
And we
Yeah.
had a lot of really dedicated people.
Yeah.
working on
Okay.
it.
And then what happened?
Well, then we had a grand opening
Woohoo.
Of the bridge?
of
Yeah.
the bridge. And this brings in another person who's given so much to Great Falls. We decided to have a grand opening of what would become the River's Edge Trail. It wasn't called that yet.
But we've had the contest from the Tribune.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Not yet. Yeah.
That doesn't happen
We
yet.
had music, speeches, food, grand celebration, and then the wind picked up.
Mm.
Would that be
well,
unusual?
That's weird.
Well,
Yeah.
That
I
happens
mean,
here in Great
it
Falls.
really picked up. The musicians, their music was flying
Oh,
everywhere,
no.
and they left.
They're like, we're done.
But what happened in the planning of this is that a young woman named Becky Nelson
Mm.
came forth to me and said, I'd like to help.
Mm.
Well, I'd never met Becky before, and I was chairing the grand celebration. Well, you know that her volunteer service
Oh,
for
my
the community,
goodness.
and 34 years later, she's still one of the best volunteers
Yes.
Great Falls has ever seen.
She's amazing. Just incredible.
And again, folks, this doesn't really pertain to tourism at all, but from a standpoint of just being an amazing human in Great Falls.
Oh, yeah.
The number of cards she
Mhm.
sends out for birthdays has to be impressive. And how
Mhm.
she
The
found
things
out
she
these
remembers. Yeah.
things, she is just, every time she shows up here, I make a post on social media that says, Becky
Isn't it?
Nelson makes me want to be a better person.
Yeah.
Oh,
Makes
that's
me
good.
want
I
to
like
step
that.
up my
I like to hear
game,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Like but in such a good way of like caring
Well,
for others and being intentional and being on top of
and
it.
totally humble.
Oh,
Never,
yeah.
ever,
She
She
never
does
wants
it
the
all
credit.
ways. Yeah.
for any
Absolutely.
recognition.
Yeah.
And so this was 30 years ago.
34 years, is that what you said?
34 years
Okay.
ago.
Okay, so she's a little sprier than she is now, but
She's still very spry.
Yeah. I don't even know if you could gauge how less spry, like maybe a percent
Yeah.
less, more
Nah.
spry.
And
Her-
she still
yeah.
serves on the River's Edge Trail Foundation. Also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Still a member.
So Becky says, "Sign me up. Assign me a task."
She did.
And
And I
you
did.
said-
Yeah. You're like,
Yeah.
thanks
This
for
is what
asking.
I would expect. So
Yeah.
So, at that point, it was called the Riverfront Recreational Corridor, a path for runners,
That's more of a mouthful.
bicyclists,
yeah,
cross-country skiing, and handicap travel.
Mm.
And we were very careful, too, with the handicap situation to
Yeah.
make sure that there wasn't too much grade, to several places and so forth, because the people are out there. And it's really important.
Absolutely. And we're glad for that too, that's something that's accessible.
So let me just recap so far. We've got volunteers in a community that said, we'll make this happen. We're going to make it accessible to all people. And we're going to convert our old trail system or our old rail system that's not being used to a trail system. Like if you're writing a grant, those are 3 check marks right off the bat. This is a good project.
That's right. And Chuck, tell about the number of grants that Doug wrote. I mean, he was a master at writing.
Yeah, besides the work he did out on the trail, his grant writing was essential to the success of the trail, and he got to be very good at it. And he developed relationships with companies like Montana Power then, and trying to think of other state agencies. They all knew Doug Wicks, and those connections were important in terms of prioritizing from the standpoint of getting money from the state or federal monies as well.
Montana Power then became Northwestern Energy. That's not really what happened, but that's the story I'm going to tell you, folks. And they're still partners to this day.
Yes, they are.
In the River's Edge Trail.
Right.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
But let me tell you one thing about Doug. When Chuck said, that they got to know Doug, okay? So we had a celebration at the Episcopal Church in Great Falls, and John Lawton was there. He was our city manager.
Former city manager.
And we were honoring Doug at that. Yeah. And John said, it used to be, who is Doug Wicks? And now it's, where is Doug Wicks?
You've made a difference in that.
We kid John about that to this day.
Nice.
So we've got the celebration of the bridge. We've celebrated Doug. We've got grants. How many miles of trail is the first amount laid or planned or
and where was it starting from?
Well, that's kind of funny. We had these grand plans at first, thinking about all the different places we could go. 2 of those places were the stretch from the 10th Street Bridge to 9th Street, of course, including the railroad berm. But that stretch along the river from Oddfellows Park is called River Drive South, and that was part of our major project. That project has never been accomplished, but we hope in 2025 that it will be.
Oh.
So it's interesting how all these other things have occurred in the meantime, but the one thing we thought was so important at first.
The starting. Yeah.
And you can get through that area, but it's
wonky.
It is wonky. Very wonky.
It's the part that goes by the old Tribune building.
Right.
So this is the project, though, that's going to, and we brag about this project, and people are like, that's going to be awesome. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, when's it going to happen? I'm like, don't ask those questions, but this is the project that would keep the River's Edge Trail on the River's Edge Trail past
the old Tribune building.
In front of the Tribune building, kind of closer to the river, under a beautiful bridge. Like the design for this is absolutely impressive, and then pick back up at the Alex Smithson shovel pine cone.
Correct.
Oh, I love that.
So anyway, that, and then the other thing that we thought about was the Sun River Dike, putting a trail on that. Well, that hasn't happened either, and there's quite a bit of resistance from the folks that live over there, but it's mainly in a few people who are kind of controlling. Anyway, that's something that I still feel has value, but we finally realized that we take it one step at a time. This can't happen all at once.
Right.
And that's what we've done for 34 years, little by little. Sometimes big by big.
Right. Yeah. It's like there's been bigger steps along the way. Yeah.
Yeah. The total 53 miles. I'm going to jump around because we mentioned it a little bit. When did the art become a focus? Because there's 28 works of art on the trail now.
Yeah, because Alex added it was 27. Alex added it.
Yep.
Then his newest, yes. Yep, that would count that.
So when did we start adding art, and what was the thought behind that? Like,
Did it just show up and you were like, oh, that's fun?
Well, a lot of it is true. A
Yeah.
lot of it is true. People would suggest something, or it would be in somebody's memory or somebody's honor, something of that sort. And it just had to be appropriate for the trail and something that would please people. I mean, there are sculptures, there's artwork, there are murals. I mean, look at the beautiful mural. Under the central
I love the one
avenue.
under.
I do too.
So vibrant.
Yeah.
It's beautiful in the snow. It's fun to take pictures of it in the snow because it's such that contrast.
Exactly. So really, I think once people realize, like Smithson.
Yes, Alex Smithson.
Alex Smithson. Once they realized that it was happening, he became really prolific.
Yeah.
And we got a lot.
And then the decorations around the Wiseman Bridge also were done by, what's the guy's name? Another sculptor.
Yeah. And I always lose his name, but he's also the one that did everything in the West Bank area as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So we won't put
He's
that
a
in.
great guy. We'll add his name.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
And then Rachel, I can't remember Rachel's last name, but she had done quite a few murals in the city, and she did the ones under the bridge.
My favorite, the fish under the bridge.
I love it.
That one's Rachel's.
Oh, gosh. I even craned my neck when I go under that bridge to keep looking at it, going backwards.
So if you meet Jerry on the trail on her bike,
and she's just got a crooked neck,
give her a wide berth. She may not be focusing on what's in front
It
of
is
her.
very true.
Good point.
Do you know what year the first piece of art went on the trail?
No, but I would say it's pretty much right away.
Really? Okay, that's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we'll make up it's 1990 then.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
I'm trying to remember. I don't think it was quite that early. But
No, but it was in the 90s that things went up. Well, the Sacagawea thing.
Sculpture.
Yes.
No, I don't know when that went up. But
The
it
one
was-
next to the courthouse or
Yeah,
the one
yeah.
down by
Next to
Lewis
the
and
court.
Clark?
No, the one by the courthouse. I don't know when.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But the writing and the pictures across the Wiseman Bridge,
Mm.
those have been up for quite a while.
Okay.
I do remember seeing those.
I'm sure they were up until the 2000s, early 2000s.
Well, we could argue this, Chuck.
We could, but we won't.
For another
Let's see who wins.
podcast. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to tell you a little bit about some of the events and celebrations
Yeah.
that have happened on the trail.
Mm-hmm.
There have been so many fun runs and bike races and scootering, rollerblading, organized rides, walks.
Have you done an electric scooter?
I have, and I love
Aren't they a
it.
blast?
I was
Oh,
gonna
Yeah.
wonder.
I loved it. Have
Did-
you done it?
Yeah.
Did you do one too, Chuck, or did
Oh,
you
yeah.
just
At the same
watch?
time.
Oh,
we did it
nice.
together.
Yeah.
We had our grandson here with us. didn't we?
Oh,
Yeah.
fun.
One of our grandkids.
Yeah, they're a
We
blast.
We had a good
took
time.
our two nieces and nephew, got on at the caboose and headed towards Giant Springs State Park.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids had such a blast, but my husband actually went with us on this one because usually he's kind of a fun sucker sometimes. And
Oh,
so,
you're not supposed to say that.
Yeah. It's all right. He's not listening. I'm just kidding.
so he had such a blast. He was like leading the whole charge. And he was like, gosh, that was so much fun. And we got back to the caboose and then went and saw the Voyagers, but such a unique addition
Yeah.
to the trail.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. John Godwin, bless his heart.
Yeah.
He brought that to town.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so we've had a lot of things. Burn the Bird, the Icebreaker,
Mm-hmm.
the annual Luminaria Walk.
That one, I was going to bring that one up. My husband and two dogs and I did that this last year, and we
Mhm.
thought we'll just walk part of it. We ended up walking the entire thing. It's kind of magical, especially as the sun is setting. And what we were most impressed by is how many people were out on the trail. It was crowded, which was so great to see.
Yeah.
But it's such a special way to see bits and pieces of the trail you might not normally
True.
spend time on.
Right.
Yeah.
One of my first events that I did when I was a new resident of Great Falls was a Luminaria Walk, and this was down in that same area by the caboose. This was a while ago. And there was music, like at different stops along like the wider spots in the trail.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then for folks who haven't been, there's bags that line the trail system with candles in them that light up. So an actual luminaria.
Yeah.
They started out with real candles.
Yeah.
Oh.
In the last few, they've had these
With
little
the- with
electric
the-
lights.
with the wind we have?
in 1995.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And we filled the bags with sand
Yeah.
halfway, and then we would put real candles.
Light 'em.
How
Yeah.
many
How much
mini
fun?
fires did you have?
I don't think
None.
we had any.
Really?
No, because
No,
the
it's
wind would
surprising.
blow out the candle
Before it
get
did
to the
anything.
bag.
But there were some bags that didn't make it through unscathed. But
Yeah.
how many volunteers it takes to light that many candles?
There's
Well,
a lot.
How
This
about
is
filling the bags and
yeah.
putting the candles
Or
and,
decorating the
and the
bags.
school kids, and this is Becky Nelson again.
of course.
She gets that
Mhm.
all
Kids,
going, but
yeah.
there are probably, because we go every year, to help.
Yeah.
There are probably 30 people there. Sometimes we're tripping over one another.
Yeah.
But it is a fun process.
And for perspective for people, we're not talking about just, 400 meters of straight trail here. I mean, this is multiple miles
Right,
Yeah.
of the
right.
trail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Lit up.
In the
Mhm.
olden days, when we had the candles,
Yeah.
about, what would you say, Chuck, 10 of us the next day would come and clean up
Yeah.
everything, and then
Yeah.
we'd go to the Missouri River Diner
Oh, yeah.
to have breakfast.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then Becky would bring a zucchini cake for Jim. What's Jim's last
yeah,
name?
I
Do you
can't
remember?
remember it.
He was one of our volunteers.
Let's
He
just
moved to
say
Wyoming,
Jim.
but for Jim's birthday every year. Oh, it was fun. We had a
Oh.
good time.
Of
That's
course,
so
Becky
nice.
made something
Yes,
and brought
yes,
it. Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
What other? I mean, it is
Becky's
great.
going to be
because-
furious with me.
Ah.
No.
She needs the credit.
No.
She
Yeah.
sure does.
So Luminary Walk. What other events has the trail hosted?
Well, Burn the
Well,
Bird, the Icebreaker.
Yeah.
Oh,
There were
Go
several
ahead, Chuck.
years where there were 12 to 15 events in one year on the trail.
Oh, wow.
So it's
Yeah.
attracted a lot of people, and of course, the spring one, the Icebreaker.
Yeah.
They get thousands.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
well, and a lot of the health organizations have their own fun runs.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
Montana Special Olympics and so
Mhm.
forth. So,
Mhm.
yeah, there are a lot of things going on. But I'm going to mention one thing, and that is a negative. That's the pandemic.
Sure.
So we suffered through 2 years of not being able to do much. The trail was the godsend.
Yes.
People could get
Yeah.
out on the trail.
Mhm.
Chuck and I were out there all the time.
Yeah.
They were social distancing,
Sure.
but they were outside.
Yeah.
They weren't in front of a Zoom
Mhm.
or some
You're getting fresh
flaky
air.
stuff on television, sitting
Right.
on the couch. And for a lot of people, it was a saving grace.
Absolutely.
It really was.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've heard that Chuck was a doctor.
Mhm.
But what we haven't heard on the podcast yet is Jerry was a nurse.
Uh-huh.
So the amount of health component
Yes.
that we've got in this room is
We're in good
fairly
hands.
impressive. I just
Absolutely.
need to say that before we move on any further.
That's
I
a really
taught
good point.
obstetrical nursing, so in case anything
So you
happened on
taught
the
it.
trail, I was
Yeah.
right
You
there.
were ready to go.
You're
Yeah,
ready.
exactly.
I happened to be an intern on rotating through obstetrics at that time, and I
Oh.
We were at the
noticed
University
this,
of Vermont.
this
Mm.
lady,
Okay.
this particular lady.
Ooh. And you're like, man, I want to keep her by my side forever.
One problem was she didn't notice me, and we were in a room this size.
Well, apparently we're not interesting enough. Yeah.
So what'd you do,
How does
Chuck?
that
Did
make you
you
feel?
like?
Yeah, how'd you get her attention?
Well, there were
You
other
trip her?
opportunities,
Yeah.
and she had some of her students that were out spying on me.
They were out scoping. They call from the cafeteria and say, "He's down in the cafeteria." And I'm thinking, "Who's he?"
Right. Like, what am I supposed to do with this?
I know. But I did ask him out for the first date.
Ooh.
And it was to the play called The Odd Couple.
I'm sure
Oh,
that
that
has
just
nothing
set
to
the
do with
stage
long
for your
term
yeah.
Now and then it might.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty good. You noticed her, but she was the one who ended up asking you out.
How about that?
You
That's
played that
interesting,
pretty
isn't it?
well.
Having met Jerry, that doesn't really.
Wasn't surprised.
Yeah.
It's like, that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, back to the trail.
Let's get focused.
Yeah.
Well, I
Mhm.
was a lowly intern, so she really wasn't paying attention
Yeah.
to those types.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, chief resident of obstetrics is the one that
Yeah,
he was
he-
married. I had no eyes on him whatsoever. But,
He's the one
I
you
learned from
noticed.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
On
All
to the-
right. Yes. So
Okay.
back to the trail.
So, what else do we need to know about the trail?
hmm
Oh yes, the trail.
I have a question while you're thinking here. So there's different right now with the 53 some odd miles of it. There's paved, there's dirt, there's gravel. How did that kind of play out with the terrain?
Probably just, no, we don't have money for this.
Yeah.
Let's just some dirt.
Just some dirt.
Right.
Well, I think we have about 15 miles of paved trail. We probably have almost twice that much of unpaved trail, single track trail that's on both sides of the river beyond Rainbow Dam. And that I don't think we envisioned initially, but that's been a fantastic addition to the trail.
Montana Conservation Corps has been really by our side with that.
And the Great Falls Bicycle Club.
And the Great Falls Bicycle Club.
John Juris.
So
there is, as you mentioned, that there's trail beyond Great Falls. So like there's a lot of trail along the river banks in the city limits itself, but this extends all the way out to the Great Falls and Sulphur Springs. Now, the portion of the trailhead where you get on at Maroney Dam and head towards Sulphur Springs, it's the only portion of the trail, if I'm correct, that is foot traffic only. You can't ride a bike out there. Is that a lie or is that true?
I've never heard that.
I have not heard that either.
No.
You made that up.
More accurate information than I have. I didn't know there was a restriction on bicycles.
I think it's a great idea. There is.
Yeah,
because it is a narrower
Well,
trail there. Yeah.
I am 90% that I'm correct on this because I think I read it on the map.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
I'm pretty sure I'm not making this up.
Okay.
I have
have to take
footage from like a year ago when we went hiking out there. I'm going to have to look at see if I have footage of the sign. I just remember it being a narrower trail, so that makes sense to me. Yeah.
But that's an extensive trail system. When we talk about being the River's Edge Trail, it's not just in Great Falls.
Right. And
Proper.
it's not
Great
just
Falls proper.
asphalt.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
There are a number of people who are mountain bikers. And, you know, I've ridden my bike out there and I've gotten off and I've looked over the ledge where that Tribune reporter fell over that time. And
oh my.
And you know about that? Well, that was
Ooh.
Anyway, it's not my favorite thing to do, to tell you the truth, but there are people who love it.
That mayhem portion of the trail.
Yeah.
That's scary to walk, let alone ride a bike.
Right. I've run into when I was out on at the overlook for Rainbow Dam shooting a video one time. I ran into John Godwin and Art Taft out there, and they had the e-bikes they had, or the assisted ones that they had taken out on the trail out that direction. So
I think I could do that portion of the trail on an e-bike.
Yeah, because you cover a lot of ground.
You're a lot better than I am.
Well, I'm just assuming I'd get to go slow.
Do you know what mayhem is? You know, it's those, and
I've
there's
seen
a cliff and everything.
An e-bike wouldn't allow you to do mayhem any easier.
Yeah.
I have an e-bike, and that's been a whole new world for me out there on those trails, because I can get up steep things that I had real difficulty doing it on a regular mountain bike.
Yeah,
but not U-turns.
Nice. No,
not U-turns.
No, I mean you still have to have the balance and all that.
Yeah,
stuff,
you still have to know how to ride a bike.
Yeah,
it's not a tricycle. Yeah.
Jerry, are you on the e-bike now or not?
Well, Chuck bought me one.
That doesn't answer the question. Yeah.
I'm going to say that's a no.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful asset that one day I'll touch.
Right. Yes.
There you go.
I even raised the handlebars for her because she said they were too low and it was bothering her neck. So, but it still hasn't made any difference.
Well, if you want, you can rent it to the tourism office and we'll rent it out to our guests. So.
Whatever.
Yeah, there you go.
River's Edge Trail.
Well, okay, and something to keep in mind if you are being adventurous and heading out in that section of the trail, just for people to be aware of in the summer, in the hot months, you have to be aware of creepy crawlies on the ground out there. Yeah. Yeah. That being said, like you don't have to, avoid it. It's just something to be very cognizant of in that section of the trail.
Right.
Yeah.
You can also get flat tires because there are cactus out there that can puncture your tires.
Yeah.
And I've encountered that problem before.
But we now have bike repair stations along the trail.
There is? I didn't know that.
They're not always in the right place.
No. I'm going to guarantee you, no matter where you are on the trail, they're never going to be where you need them to be.
Right. But they exist.
Therefore, you bring along your own patch kit,
yes,
your own pump, and so forth.
And those were compliments of Shields, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Shields have been great partners for the River's Edge Trail, and they've made a significant contribution to this project for River Drive South that we hope will be done in the next couple of years.
Great.
So, and a number of businesses pitched in, and they were kind of the leader.
Yeah, but Bighorn with their bicycles and everything. Great.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's been a huge asset. Now, I'm going to ask for when the River's Edge Trail Foundation and the City of Great Falls kind of formed this mutually beneficial partnership, because that's really kind of a key to the sustainability of the trail, I would say, and potentially the growth, even though a lot of the growth is still led by the River's Edge Trail Foundation and the volunteers on that board. But
Right. I would say the foundation was probably formed around 2015.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, it's
that
a
way.
way more
Yeah.
recent
Oh, yes.
addition.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, I could be wrong about that, but
But
yeah,
the
it's a
fundraising
much
and all
more.
that was done on a regular basis.
Sure.
Yeah.
Before that.
And,
Okay.
and I think the year-end letters to all of our donors were really big, and they were very, very elaborate with pictures of what had been done in the past year and where their
Yeah.
money was going. And I think those are really important ways to thank people.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it keeps everybody updated. Like, it's not
Right.
just a stagnant trail. It is a
Mhm.
living, breathing trail that continues to grow, which
Mhm.
is really impressive. Not because of just one group, but a community-wide effort, in my opinion.
Right.
True.
Well, and Chuck, was it 2016 that we finally had a permanent staff person,
Oh,
employee of the city
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's right.
doing the trail.
okay.
Yeah, and he was a paid employee, a member of the Park and Rec
Park and Rec.
department.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
he was a great addition. He wrote the grants, which Doug used to do, and of course was out on the trail all the time,
Mhm.
attending
Mm-hmm.
to any problems that would occur out there. And he even contributed some to the enhancement of the trail, I would say.
One piece of artwork that's in Gibson Park, the
Yeah.
turtle
Yeah.
on the stump,
Uh-huh.
that was done by
Stefan
Janakula.
Janakula.
Aha.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
He
Mhm.
did a
But
great
he's-
job for
when
us.
he's left town.
And we have
Yeah.
a new lady who's filling his position named Olivia.
Yeah.
I don't know her
I
last
saw
name.
her earlier today.
Oh, did
Actually,
you?
I
Oh,
did.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
She
Mhm.
comes to our monthly meetings
Yeah.
as well,
Mhm.
so she's part of the team. I think the foundation was established around 2015, maybe a little earlier.
So
But the city was an important part because any of the federal grants and state grants that we got had to be approved by the city.
Okay.
So we had their cooperation.
Oh yeah, all
on that,
along.
all
Yeah.
along.
Mhm. How does the maintenance of it work? Does the city help in that? Is that all funds raised through the foundation for repairs to the path, things like that?
It's
No.
both.
Okay.
It's both. The city does the basic. Of course, they pay the salary of the person who maintains it. But
Mhm.
now and then there are large projects that they come to us and say, "Can you partner in this
Mhm.
project?" For instance, there was a slumping of the trail out near Giant Springs Road, where water was causing the bank to shift. That was a big project, and we put in a significant amount of money along with the city to
And
correct
volunteer
that.
work too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, Chuck, let me point out the obvious. You were there at the beginning. You're there now. Have you been with the River's Edge Trail project in all of its shapes and forms for its entirety, or did you take
Yes.
a break?
No, no breaks. Right now, I feel like I'm kind of a fixture.
Yeah.
Like, you can't
Yep.
leave now.
Mhm. Mhm.
There are people who are much younger than I am and more energetic than I am that really do the major work on this trail. But
But your grandpa.
I'm happy to be there, and now and then I have an idea that people seem to think is a good idea.
Now and then his wife does too.
And I'm not afraid to transmit my wife's ideas.
There you go.
As your own.
Mhm.
I had this great idea the other day.
Mhm.
Well, I try to give her credit because it might get back. That I took her.
Uh-huh.
Or it might not
It'll
be a
get
good
out,
idea.
right? Right.
Jerry had
Take-
this idea. I don't think
Uh-huh,
it's that great.
right?
but Here it is.
Throwing it out there.
Mm.
As you look ahead to the next 34 years, the next 3 decades of the trail, what would be your hopes and dreams for it?
Well, I really would look forward to seeing the River Drive South section completed, so that's right along the river. That's been a major problem over the years. And the other thing is the Sun River Dike, and I'm still very interested in trying to work with the people out there to approve it. Maybe start with just a small segment of the trail as a trial, but there's history all over this country where these flood control dikes have been utilized for trails. In Holland, my gosh, they have dikes everywhere, and there's a trail on top of all of them.
And all over our country.
And people
in numerous cities.
They give the argument, in cities in the U.S. But the people living around the dikes feel that it's a security problem, and it has not proven to be that way. In fact, probably quite the opposite. For the most part, people that are traveling on that are going to be there for recreation.
Right.
And if they see something going wrong,
well, we've tried to say that Rails to Trails has proven that if you have a trail in your backyard, it is safer than if the trail isn't there. Because there are lights, there are people, and so forth. But, try to get that across to some people, and it's hard to do. But I think another thing we'd like to see are more access points in the city. So that, people call us all the time and say, how do you get from your house in Fox Farm to the trail safely? And we tell them. But, if these access points could be made a little bit more permanent and signage and so forth, I think people would use it more.
Yeah.
I would love to see some embellishments like the Wiseman Bridge up here on 10th Avenue South that crosses the river at this point. It's just not as pretty as Wiseman Bridge. Right. And it needs some art. And it needs some fanciness.
Yeah.
Good idea, lady.
Thank you. I'm sure something will happen with that.
Yeah.
You're going to be on the foundation now and help make that happen. Yeah.
I'm going to now learn how to weld and
Yes.
create my own art.
No,
That's what the Jennings would do.
Just give money.
Yeah. You're like, they'll take that too.
So just write a check. Sounds
Right.
good. I'm capable of that. I'm pretty good at that one.
Good. We like that.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at a list that I made of various editions and the time frame. The Wiseman Bridge was originally donated, in 1997, and finally the deck was completed in 2011.
Oh wow, that's a long project.
Yeah, it was a long project.
It actually was. Yeah.
And today, folks, I don't know if this was intention or not, but there's locks on that bridge, kind of like every community's got these padlocks.
Yes.
You lock your love up on that bridge. I don't know what that's
for.
But there are places in Europe that
Yeah,
it's
it's like-
solid.
Yeah.
I think, isn't it Paris or something has
like
something
it's
with
a
that?
thing to
Yeah.
do. There's a
Near
do that
Notre
here.
Dame.
There you
Sure.
go. Yeah.
I noticed that last time I was on the trail. I'm like, that's getting bigger because it's a little small, but people are putting their locks on there.
Sure are.
They're pretty.
Destination and distance signs were a nice addition to the trail.
And there
That
are
was-
arrows.
Yeah,
Yes,
they're really nice.
yes.
They're really
That
nice.
was started or established in 2013, actually.
Oh,
it's been
so
there a
that's
while.
See, I thought all of
Recently.
these have been around longer. Yeah.
Well, it took so many years to get the trail laid down.
Exactly.
Right.
It's not like it's
Overnight.
And support for it.
Yes.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the latest and greatest addition is the historic Arch Bridge
Arlene Riker.
that
Yeah.
Arlene Riker
Yes.
championed.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The bridge lady.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
I
infamous
was
bridge
also there
lady.
for that celebration.
Yes.
Um,
Mm-hmm. What,
Okay,
last summer?
Now, if you have
Yeah.
ideas, because this is where we need more traffic,
Mm-hmm.
is on that bridge.
Mhm.
So if you have ideas as to
underutilized.
how we can
Yeah.
get people on it,
Mm.
what are attractions? I mean, they have pots of flowers and
Right.
stuff like that, but what are some attractive things?
Mm-hmm.
I say events. Get some music down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
You know
that'd be
what
fun.
I say? Lunch program where you've got
Ooh, I like
tables along
that.
the side,
Mhm.
music,
Yeah.
and carts, like
Yeah,
food
the
Little food
trucks.
carts. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
food carts along the trail, and then it becomes kind of that alive at lunch concept.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you can go have lunch and get your hot dog from the vendor and go sit down and
Well, and the Independence Bank right there.
Yes,
has
with-
lattes and
the True
cappuccinos
Brew
and so
there.
forth.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I appoint you head of that.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful.
Thanks,
Perfect. Yeah.
And you also said that you write checks.
checks.
Right.
Yeah, write
Mhm.
checks real well.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah. Gotta know if you open your mouth, you're gonna have to follow it up. Yeah.
But there's so much. That is
Yeah.
such a beautiful bridge.
It
that,
is.
Oh,
it's lovely.
Arlene really
Absolutely
dedicated
lovely.
her life to.
She
Yes.
He did.
Mhm.
And you know,
it
there
is-
was some resistance along the way
I
from
do.
Doug Wicks
Oh.
Really?
because he felt like we were competing for money for grant money.
Oh.
There was a few years in there that
A little
Doug was
dicey.
not fully on board
Right.
with the idea of connecting the bridge to the
Right.
trail,
Yeah.
but Arlene persisted. She was not about to be derailed on that.
Well, and when Bruce Powlington took over as
Yeah.
president
No.
of the Rivers Edge Trail Foundation, and
Mhm.
we want to give a shout out to Bruce because he's just done a great job. He was very much in favor of
Oh, yeah.
working with Arlene and,
Mm-hmm.
and Arch Bridge.
And
Yeah.
oh, by the way, I now serve on the what's the name of it?
Historic preservation.
Historic preservation.
Yeah.
So
So I'm the liaison between the trail
Gotcha.
The trail and
foundation
the bridge.
and
Gotcha.
the bridge.
Yeah.
Historic.
are all the Jenningses on that committee? Because isn't Peter on that too?
No, he's
Peter's-
on other historic.
He's in the
Yeah.
History Museum.
Oh, okay.
committee, that's
Historical
right, yeah.
Society.
But he's on another historical preservation thing.
Okay.
I'm not sure what it is.
Well, Peter loves that. Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously, he loves that because he's created a restaurant and hotel
Right,
out of the
right.
oldest building in town.
Yes.
He
Yes.
likes old stuff.
Yeah.
He does.
That's why he
Mhm.
likes his parents.
Well, that's
Did I say
convenient.
that?
Yeah.
No, really, it's I think a slam against your other children because
Yeah.
they aren't here
Right.
to defend themselves.
He loves us most of the time.
Yeah.
Oh,
And of,
That's
of
vice
we're
versa.
talking about Peter Jennings, who owns Celtic Cowboy and Hotel Arvon, which
There
is
we
what we're
go.
talking about in downtown Great Falls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So great place to stay.
Mhm.
Easily access the trail system from there.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
I have a little paragraph that I'd like to read.
Okay.
And
Go
this
for
is,
it.
Where would Great Falls be without the Rivers Edge Trail?
Oh.
We hope to never have to answer that question. It has brought life to the community, offered outdoor activities of all sorts, and allowed many to see the river that runs through Great Falls.
Mm-hmm.
We are blessed and we have our citizens, local, state, and federal government, numerous volunteers, and our Great Falls Tribune to thank for the money, time, and support that elevate it as one of Montana's gems.
Mm-hmm.
Truly.
Yeah.
And such an enduring asset.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Does anyone in this room know how much money has been raised or the total investment maybe that's been made for creating and maintaining the Rivers Edge Trail?
Million. All I can say.
Yeah.
But we could find it out.
Mhm.
If it's a good addition to the podcast, we could certainly find it out. We'll ask Bruce.
Yeah. There you go.
Bruce probably knows.
First can
You're
chime
right.
in. Yeah.
Well, and Karen Wicks was very good about giving us a file that was about
Uh-huh.
2 inches
Yeah.
and of everything, minutes and newspaper articles and you name it, it was
Yeah.
in it. So Karen, we really shout out to Karen
Yeah.
as having been a real partner with
Mhm.
Doug.
What we've noticed across the world and in Great Falls over the years is the volunteerism of the young people is not as strong as it used to be in the past. So I would say the Rivers Edge Trail Foundation board kind of bucks that system a little bit. I think you've got young people on that board that are just continuing that legacy of being involved in the community. So
You mean young people in their 50s and 60s?
Exactly.
Well-
Exactly.
That's young to us.
but
But
isn't
it's
But-
true.
Sarah Yoder still on there?
Yes, she would be probably the youngest, I would guess.
And,
Anders
Kelly
Blewett.
Aline Anders. Yeah.
Well, Kelly was for a while,
And then
but
she's not.
not currently.
But those are younger leaders within our community
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
Yeah.
are trying to carry the torch.
We
Yeah.
definitely need to do that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Get the heritage members of our society explaining the history,
Mhm.
being there to mentor us,
Mhm.
and then allowing us the opportunity to continue to grow and develop those assets. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's a it's a big trail. And when we say the River's Edge Trail, everyone kind of carves out little sections of the trail itself. Do you have a favorite portion of the trail?
That's a good question.
Yes, it is.
I would say
I just like it.
Yeah.
I think the circuit, which is about a little over 3 miles, is my favorite one, where it goes from Wiseman Bridge and West Bank, and then back across the the historic bridge, and back on the other side.
Yeah.
Urban Loop.
The urban loop. I guess I never called
is.
that,
It
but
truly is.
that would be my.
I think when we go for a walk on the River's Edge Trail, that's what we do. Because it's a little over 3 miles.
Yeah.
But riding the trail, I don't know.
Coming from the west side, I'd say on a bicycle, we come down the west side of the river, and a lot of times we'll go all the way to the falls.
Okay.
And then we'll go back up over the park, and then there's a little dirt trail that you can take if you're on a mountain bike that comes back down and ends up on the paved trail. We like to do that round.
How many times Northwestern Energy used to do Beyond the Dam? I think that's the one where they open Cochrane Dam.
Yes.
Have you done it every year that it's been open?
I've only
not every year, but many years.
I think I've done it twice, maybe. But it's incredible to me to see the number of people that do that, including women who don't appear to be in shape, and they have little babies in carriages.
In carts behind it.
Wow.
Going
Carriages.
up hills.
That's
it's
impressive.
pretty
Yeah.
Yeah. And they do it,
It's
and they're
not me,
having fun.
folks.
Yeah.
No, it's a great
I don't
event.
even
I
try it.
hope
Yeah.
they continue.
Yeah.
That is one of my most favorite events, and really just kind of that dam party down at they had it that one year down at Black Eagle Falls, and there's some dam safety that's done there, and there was live music. It was just a great event, and I smooth talked my way into getting on top of the Black Eagle Dam. So I can see it.
Good. For
Do you have
My
a
power
favorite?
really doesn't lend itself to much anything else. So.
You got it. Now, do you have a favorite section?
I would have to say my favorite section is from the caboose down towards Giant Springs.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites too.
And I'm still trying to figure out, and this sounds awful, like I'm some moron, but this is what happens. I'm still trying to figure out how to take the left side of the trail to stay closer to the water down to Giant Springs versus crossing
The tall or
the
the
river and crossing the road and being on the Fish, Wildlife, and Parks building side.
Yeah.
Oh, so you want to go down that hill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't figure out how to get left.
Well, when you hit the kiosk at Giant Springs Road, you turn left, and then you just go.
You don't go under the tunnel.
Right, you don't go into the tunnel.
Mhm.
Then you just go a little ways, and then you go down and around Giants, the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center.
Okay.
Yeah, then you can come back up through Fish, Wildlife, and
Yeah.
Parks.
Actually, that is one of our favorite bike
That
rides.
is, we love that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You can
And
really
moose
get
have
going
been
on
seen
that down
there.
Really?
Not by us. but
Yeah.
I was very disappointed I didn't see them. I love moose.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I got stymied there the last time. I'm like, I know this goes this way. How come I can't figure this out?
Right.
But this is also from the girl that got stuck traveling between Lead and Deadwood, South Dakota.
Oh my
And my
goodness.
friend who is from the area is like, I don't even know how you do that. I'm like, it's possible. Don't. Because I just kept
I did
going
it.
kept going in a circle, and all of a sudden I'm back to Lead, South Dakota. I'm like,
Oh dear.
I don't want to keep going in this circle.
Yeah.
How is this possible? This is long before GPS.
Well,
all
just
that
give
other
us a
fun
call.
stuff.
my
and we'll
goodness.
lead you-
Yeah.
we'll lead
Sure.
you down
Right.
there.
I'm stuck.
I'm calling
Yeah.
Jerry. Okay, I'm at the kiosk. I can't figure
I don't
it out.
get it.
I'm sorry, I'm in Cuba.
Right,
I-
right. You said go down the hill. I don't. Yeah.
Can't find the hill,
Yeah.
Jerry. I can't stay here until you get back from
Right.
Cuba.
And we are going to Cuba, by the way. for my
Ooh.
birthday.
Hey.
Early
Well, more on
February.
that later. That
Ooh,
sounds fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Wow.
So are you just road riders, just trail riders, mountain bikers?
All of the above.
all
All you do it all.
Yeah.
Except e-bikes, Jerry. Jerry's not.
I've got one. I just
Yeah.
She's
That-
not old enough for one yet.
That one's not going to Cuba. Yeah.
She will be.
Because all of that terrain is available. And
Yeah.
I think there was even a point when I saw you guys in a video for Central Montana Tourism a few years ago riding bikes that Gail Fisher might have roped you all into. Maybe I'm making that up.
You might be. Who
Okay.
knows? But we'll say it's true.
Okay.
There was
Thanks, Jerry.
one of the newspaper articles that I showed you. It was a person running under one of the bridges on the paved trail, and I'm sure it was you.
It looked like it.
Yeah.
We used to
Could have
run.
been. Yeah.
You don't run anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Not good for you guys.
Yeah.
We want to save those for biking.
Good idea. So looking back to 1990 when you had this, is that your dog? There's a motorcycle, there's a trailer situation, just looking for someplace safe to ride. And fast forwarding now, 34 years later, when you get to go walk or bike along the trail, how does that feel? Like flashing back to that moment when you're like, we got to do something about this, to now what it's become today. I mean, do you even get to think about that as you're walking along it? Or are you just looking at like, oh, that needs to be fixed or that needs to be fixed?
I have to think you just walk around your house going, yeah, it wasn't for us.
No, we really don't think that because we
No,
know
we don't.
people that we mentioned today.
There are lots and lots of people that can contribute it. Yeah, it's a good feeling.
Mhm.
But I might add that we still ride on that road along the river going south.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Yeah.
We didn't learn a lesson.
Yeah,
then.
right? Maybe
So yeah, we love the River's Edge Trail and the safety that it offers, but we're still courageous enough to go out.
Is
Well,
courageous
I just
the
need
right
to add
word?
more
Yeah.
trail system in
There you
that
go.
area.
Yes.
I think that would be a really nice extension. Really would.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we need more in the way of connection.
Mm-hmm.
I think more people in Great Falls would be riding,
Mm-hmm.
mainly riding because
Yeah.
you can walk anywhere.
Right.
The River's Edge Trail.
Yeah.
I really do.
We didn't talk about the contest the trip put on for the naming
Oh,
of
yeah.
the trail.
Who was the
How did
winner?
that happen?
That was the most. They had the most
Entries.
entrants of any contest they ever had.
Do we know
Wow.
the person, or were there multiple suggestions, and the
Oh,
contest was like, oh, this
There
is
were
just like,
hundreds.
Yeah,
of
do you remember the
suggestions.
other suggestions?
But I think there were several. I have the newspaper article, but I didn't bring it, of course. But there were several that came up with River's Edge Trail.
because
Yeah.
I guess it was some kind of a TV production or something was called
Oh.
River's Edge Trail.
Hmm.
And when I first heard it, I thought, oh, I want a TV.
Right.
Now, of course, it's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't thrilled about it. There were some other
Yeah.
ideas, and I can't remember.
I
what
mean,
they
my
are.
idea I thought was the best.
Of course.
Of course,
That
she doesn't even remember. what
Right.
it was.
but I think there were three people who put in the same 3 to 5.
Yeah.
Was
And
there
everyone
an
was the same.
unveiling, a celebration around the new name, a plaque, a banner? What would you do? Or just like, yeah, that's
I
done.
don't recall whether we had a celebration.
I think it was just a community meeting. And of course, the Tribune. I mean, the Tribune celebrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they took over for us. We
Yeah.
didn't have to celebrate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They put
Everyone
out
in the
all the info on
community
that.
and
Yeah.
everyone in the territory. heard
Well, I
one-
would hope in the article they would name the name of the person.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. I'm sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
we just-
curious
we
what some
just-
of these other
And
names
we
were.
didn't know any of the people.
Mm-hmm.
And it might even give some of the other names, but I know they gave the names of the people who won.
Yeah.
And the logo, I think, is really
Yeah.
cool
Mm-hmm.
with the railroad tracks at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then I think the Great Northern,
Mm-hmm.
Depot.
Yeah.
and then River's Edge Trail across the top.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's stood the test of time.
Mm-hmm.
And you can always find that logo on the trail maps when you're in
Mhm.
town.
That's right.
Yes.
On their website, thetrail.org, or from our website. You
Mhm.
can go to visitgreatfallsmontana.org. We've got a listing for the River's Edge Trail, takes you to the website. And there's an interactive map on the trail, so you can kind of plan here.
And-
There was
and the
a,
artwork is on the map.
Hey, hey.
Pamphlet too.
I recall a cartoon that was drawn by a lady named Vera Matthews that showed where the 6th Street Bridge is. It showed an engine with a train behind it, and the engineer sticking his head out the door
It's funny.
and realizing there's no longer rails there. And he's scratching his head.
That's
No
funny.
Yeah.
bridge.
Yeah.
And I think that was published in the Tribune.
That's
Yeah,
cute.
that was very
Yeah.
funny. Yeah.
Well, I've had a blast learning the history.
Yeah, thank you.
It's amazing to me. My aunt lived here 80s, 90s, and then left. And 2018, she was here, and we loaded our bikes up and parked up here on the hill before I worked here, and we rode down the River's Edge Trail on our bikes. And then I pushed mine back up because I'm not really athletic. And
But,
she says,
but you're mountain biking on all those trails out there.
"Yeah, I'm not, Jerry." And she said, "She's like, this is such an amazing asset. When did you guys get this trail?" And I looked at her. I'm like, "While you were here, like you lived here when this happened."
Oh,
Now, I
interesting.
did lie to her a little bit and told her it happened in the 80s. But I don't know where I came up with that other than probably
You
just
wanted to
thin
make her
air.
feel bad.
Yeah. That might have been it. She's like, "You're kidding me." And I'm like, "No, it's been around for a long time."
Yeah.
But not really that long because it wasn't the 80s. But now we know.
34 years.
Soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, close.
Yeah, well, there's still people, and that's why we need to continue to promote it, get more access to it, and so forth, because it is wonderful.
It really is.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing your stories.
Yeah, thank you
Thanks for
both very
having me.
much.
Welcome. It was
And
fun.
Yeah, it was fun for us to go
Yeah.
back in these files and see all this
Dig
stuff.
through all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I also hope that you're not going home to battle and fight over some of the things that happened on this podcast today. So let's just forget it all in the past and move forward with happy hearts. And folks, until we see you out on the River's Edge Trail or in our fine city at any of our other amazing establishments, we hope you are having a blast with your friends and family and creating amazing memories wherever you might be. See you soon.
We're No Dam Experts is the recorded claims from Great Falls, Montana, covering what you need to know about this amazing damn town.